Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to show you games in which I have been on the losing side, but in which I still managed to get decent results. How can you achieve the same thing? Well, just keep watching. In World of Tanks, you will find basically three types of games. The first one and the most desired one is a game which lasts long, in which you have enough time to participate and which is on the edge until the very end. Usually almost every player is able to make a decent amount of damage in such a game. The second type is a game in which your team is superior and able to crush the adversary team in a short period of time. No matter what you do, your team is going to win such a game. And in such a game, it is difficult to make a decent amount of damage and you need a pretty mobile tank to follow your team. The last type is a game in which your team is on the losing side. No matter what you do, you lose this game. In such a situation, you should not complain, but simply try to get the most out of the situation. In today's video, I want to give you 3 examples and show you that even if your team is on the losing side, and if your team is losing the game in the very first minutes of the game, you can still put yourself into a position out of which you can make a decent amount of damage. Let's go. Alright, first game in the WoT 65. We are in a top tier situation, in a tier 8 matchup, so perfect scenario. But let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Overlord in the south, this is how the game usually develops. And with the WoT 65, what I like to do is I like to go to this position right here and start to play or start the game with playing a bit more defensively. Now you could also go to this position if you were playing a tank with good hull-down capabilities, which is not so much a case in the WoT 65. So in my opinion, this is the best position because not only can you try to take those tanks under fire, you can also get cross shots onto this position if those tanks advance here, and you have the flexibility to move to either side depending on how the game is developing. So yeah, I'd like to start the game on Overlord from the standard position, and spawning in the south, as I said, this is the G7 position, which is super strong. A bit defensively, but that's not a problem. It's actually pretty good to see how the game is developing. Now, a very important thing is that you have to knock down the tree. Maybe a bit more to the side as compared to what the WoT, or I think the Leopard, is doing. But anyway, it is good enough. Because in this position, if you do not knock down the tree, you are susceptible to crossfire from adversary tanks pushing from the E4 position, where the GSO is now playing. Looks like this player is rushing into death. So as we are spotted, we do want to fall back, do not get shot by enemy teams, enemy tanks. But we were not spotted, so we can go back into the bush. Okay, and in this bush we can actually simply wait until one or another tank is spotted. Now it is very important that if you take a shot, you have to fall back because you will get spotted. So even if you're playing an autoloader tank, you must not empty your clip or even try to get 2 shots, because you will get shot by adversary tanks and you will not trade positively if you do not fall back. So that is super important. Now, looks like our ELC even 90 is doing the same thing as the adversary light tank. He's most likely thinking that it is an unfair situation if we have one light tank still remaining in the game and the adversary team does not. It's completely ridiculous what he's doing, completely stupid. But that's how it is. As you saw, I am falling back after I took my shot so that I do not get a shot in return, because I want to trade positively. And I want to preserve my HP until the end of the game. Okay, so far so good. 2-2-2. And so far so good. We still have 50% of map control, which is fine. 1 shot, and then I want to fall back. Fortunately, I did not get penetrated by the WoT, which is good. And now, okay, the 50 TP is now trying to fall into the rear of our WT on Panzer IV, so we need to help him. And this is a situation where the WoT can still shine as it is an autoloader tank. And now I want to take this tank out. 1, 2, 3, and we can even take him out with the 4th shot. Excellent. So this is the strength of an autoloader tank. And yes, the WoT got nerfed pretty significantly. It used to be one of the best, if not the best, medium tank on tier 10. Nowadays it is slightly below average. Yes, situationally it can still shine, as in this situation. However, the gun handling got nerfed significantly, so it is pretty poor in my opinion for a medium tank on tier 10. Plus the armor got nerfed, so most likely you will nowadays not bounce anything with your upper hull, which used to be the case and which made this tank pretty awesome. And so yeah, all in all, the WoT 65 unfortunately is nowadays slightly below average, at least if you ask me. Okay, so far we are pretty much struggling to maintain 50% of map control. Our heavy tanks are pushing the 2 and 3 lane. Hopefully they are successful, we'll see. And we have to get rid of this UDES 1516, which is in a very strong position, because from this position, if we do not keep him proxy spotted, he can basically spot the remaining map. And so that is very, very bad for us. So I'm trying to keep him proxy spotted so that he cannot go on top of this little ridge line. Our T103 is helping us out, and so I can now try to make a flanking maneuver to the UDES 1516. The game is still pretty close. We'll see how effective our heavy tanks are. And now this is another situation where we can exploit the strength of this autoloader tank. So 1, 2, we might take 1 shot in return, which is not a problem at all because we need to get rid. Okay, yeah, okay. Rusk is taking us under fire, so we need to retreat. Unfortunately, we could not get the 4th shot onto the UDES 1516. Our heavy tanks are playing super aggressively. The AMX M449 is moving out into the open field, and he's putting himself into a crossfire situation. Not only from the ELC even 90, but also from the Zu-130 PM, and also from the convoy, and also the artillery. So pretty poor gameplay, and yeah, so far it's not working out nicely for our team. We are trying to do the best that we can, and let's see how it goes. So we have 3 tanks here in this position, so I want to make another flanking move to finally take out the UDES 1516. WoT has left his position. Excellent. So there's only the ELC even 90. Most likely the convoy has not moved yet and is still in the same position. So that gives us the chance of making another flanking maneuver to the UDES. And now I need to take him out. And excellent. He doesn't even get a shot in return. ELC even 90 is going to another position. Excellent. So 3.8k damage. All our TDs and our heavy tanks on the 2 and 3 lane have been taken out. And so yeah, this is where I thought, okay, this game is going to be a loss. And now it's only a question of what can we do in order to maximize our statistic. And that is what you should do always in World of Tanks. In my opinion, there are three different games, as I described in the little intro. And if you're facing a loss of your team, then you need to maximize, you still need to maximize your damage in order to get better stats and better results and become a better player. This is actually what differentiates the better player, the above average player, to, let's say, the average player. An above average player does not only get, let's say, a decent result if the team is winning, but he also manages to get a decent result if the team is on the losing side. So that's what you should always try to do. And we have a full clip. The Zu-130 didn't make his shot, and now, yes, we will most likely make 1 shot. I try to bait him, or I try to fool him, but he still gets shot. Okay, now we're in a crossfire situation, so I'm circling him with using auto aim. I can get rid of him. 4.9k damage, and maybe we get another shot. No, okay. Rusk is killing us. We were the last tank remaining in this battle. It's a loss. We make 4.9k damage. Here you can see the kill cam, actually a pretty lucky shot if you ask me, a distance 400 meters. But let's now jump into the next game. Alright, second game. We are playing in a tier 8 battle with our tier 9 tank, the KPZ-50T. But let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Murovanka in the north, this is how the game usually develops. And with a tank like the KPZ-50T, which has insane hull down capabilities, I would go to the 8 and 9 lane, because in this position, or maybe in this position, you are perfectly suited to play hull down due to the fact that here are a couple of ridge lines that you can exploit. So in my opinion, you should try to win this portion of the map, which is, in my opinion anyway, the more dynamic flank, which you should try to win in order to win the game. Alright, so yeah, that's where we want to go. We want to try to exploit the hull down capabilities of this tank and win the southern portion. No, it's not the southern portion, it's actually it's actually the eastern side of the map. So the 9 and 0 lane. The KPZ-50T is, of course, an above average tank. Now, when I'm facing this tank, I always encounter strong players, and this gives me the impression, or gave me the impression, that this tank is OP. Now, I think it is situationally OP, but this tank is very difficult to play. Now, the problem is, if only strong players can play this tank, then yes, for the most part, those players will bring themselves into a situation where they can exploit the strength, and then what I said applies. This tank is situationally OP, and yeah, so I can understand if you have the impression that this tank is OP. I think it is very tough to play. It is above average, situationally OP, and yeah, it simply is a good tank. Anyway, let's focus onto the game. Looks like the adversary team is making pressure on the 2 and 3 lanes. So the Chrysler and the Emil 2 and the Standard B are making pressure on the E2 and E3 position. So looks like the adversary team is pretty confident that they can win this flank. So chances are that they are less strong when it comes to the setup on our flank. We have the CC1 Mark II, which is kind of pushing along the 8 lane, which is a bit strange. I don't know if he's fully protected. Meanwhile, we are trying to look for a shot without exposing our tank and without losing HP. The problem on this map, on this flank, is that from both sides you can set up pretty strong defensive positions, so chances are that the first team who pushes aggressively can be taken out. Okay, that was a very lucky shot. However, we managed to make one shot, and so did the other tanks, and so the Meal, which is nothing but a WoT, is now down to being almost one-shottable. Alright, so let's see, can we get another shot? Meanwhile, we've already lost 2 tanks. Yeah, and it is not looking too good. The AE phase 1 is trying to make pressure onto our heavy tanks. Meanwhile, we fortunately bounced shots, and that was super unfortunate. The Meal could take out the Progetto 46, super unfortunate. But now, yeah, I'm simply not in the right position, which is super unfortunate. There was the chance to take out the WoT to punish him for his over-aggressive play, but I was simply not in the correct position, which is super unfortunate. 1-5, so once again we are on the losing side, and now the question is, what can we do in order to maximize our damage? And I think currently we want to stay in this position because we are strong. Here we go. Let's fully aim in. Unfortunately, we bounced this shot. 268mm of penetration is not enough to get a shot. Now it finally is, with 305 damage. Little low roll here. Then we get another shot. No, we bounce again. So far pretty unlucky if you ask me. Now there's the super pushing. And he's not taking a shot onto me because he is unable to pen my turret, which is good for me. And now on the other side, now we get flanked by the AMX M449. So we need to, yep, hurry up. Now we are, he's standing in my way. I'm standing in his way. Pretty poor setup from us. So let's take another shot. And I bounce. I do not hit this shot. Yeah, he's taken out. So I'm now all on my own, which is pretty bad. And so, you know what? I want to take one more shot onto the super Pershing. And you know what? I need to run. Okay, the MX is turning around. And you know what? I need to evade out of this situation. I need to fall back. I need to fight against the MX M449. Hopefully he's surprised by me. No, he's not. That's how it is. And he's now trying to turn his tank to my tank, and now I get flanked by the super Pershing, which is a good player. And now it is time to get the most out of this game. This game is lost most likely. I do not have any support from the CC Mark 1. Mark 2. I do not know what he's doing, but I can at least turn my tank towards the super Pershing to take him out. Oh, fine. Oh, the Mark 2 actually took out the MX M449, which is great. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to put the AMX onto the same side where the super Pershing is, so that I can put my strong frontal armor towards both tanks. Plus I wanted to fall down and play hull down against those two tanks in order to maximize the chance of not getting penetrated. And now, as I said, the game seems to be on the losing side. We're losing the heavy flank, we're losing our flank, but now it is simply time to maximize our result. And I'm consciously changing to premium ammunition in order to make the most out of this loss, and in order to reliably penetrate the armor of this Gonkiewicza, which is even with premium ammunition not so much possible. It's only an orange pen marker. And so yeah, in this situation there's nothing what I can do but to maximize and exploit the strength of this tank, which is hull-down gameplay. And so I want to get as much shots or penetration shots as possible in order to maximize the game, because once again the game is lost, and yeah, there's not much what we can do. So okay, one shot from the tank destroyer. Once again I can pen him with premium ammunition. That is good, and maybe I can even take him out. Let's see. Bam, I can take him out. And now let's refocus onto the Gonkiewicza. He's moving towards me, so you know what, maybe two shots onto him. Okay, and now he's taking me out. Okay, yeah, I think this was the maximum that we could do in this game. 4,000 damage. And once again, yeah, if you're on the losing side, there's nothing what you can do. You cannot win a 1v15 game. That's just how it is. It is a team game, but you can at least maximize your result. Okay, third and last game. This time we play the Concept 5, and let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Himmelsdorf in the south, this is how the game usually develops. And with the Concept 5, you have multiple options. You can go to the 1 and 2 lanes somewhere around here and try to snipe to those tanks right here. Now what I like to do is I like to go to this position and then basically try to get shots towards those tanks here from on top of the hill. Or I like to support my tanks in proceeding here and trying to win the hill. And this gives me basically the flexibility to yeah, see what I can do depending on how the game develops. Yeah, so let's see what we can do in this game. So in this game, we are in a tier 10 match, so no top tier situation, plus we're playing a below average tank, and we're playing on a map which is pretty much not suited for this tank at all. Now I picked this replay in order to demonstrate you that you cannot only maximize your damage if you're on the losing side in a strong tank or in an let's say an overpowered tank like the KPZ-50T, but of course you can do the same thing even if you are playing in a below average tank, and even if you're playing in a situation or in a game which is completely not to your favor. But more to this later. So right now we are trying to get some shots from on top of the hill. This is a typical gameplay from me. I think that the hill is pretty important and gives you a couple of opportunities. Now, I'm not saying that the hill is the strategic position that you need to win, because you can also win the game with winning the 1 and 2 lane. Completely agreed on. However, in my opinion, the hill once again offers some opportunities. For example, like this, like getting shots onto tanks which are playing in the middle. Now we have to lobster eye the minimap. Okay, that was unfortunate. We have to lobster eye the minimap and always take the adversary tanks on the hill into our consideration. So as you can see, our heavy tanks are playing super defensively. I do not know why, but that's just how it is. And so we need to make sure that we don't get taken out by, let's say, 3 or 4 tanks of the adversary team, which are instantaneously pushing, or all of a sudden, I should say, pushing the hill. Meanwhile, we are not hitting our shot. We get 1 shot in return, so everything is not as it is supposed to be, and we already lost 3 tanks. So yeah, that's how it is. Another shot onto the AMX. Meanwhile, we get 1 shot of the Foch B in return, so things are not working out nicely. And our 2 tanks here, the 2, let's say, top tier heavy tanks, not top tier, but the 2 strongest heavy tanks, the VZ55 and the WZ-111-5 Alpha, are playing defensively, trying to snipe from the hill. Super stupid gameplay if you ask me, but that's just how it is. So yeah, take a look at the map and enjoy our map control, which is basically non-existent. However, we want to make the most out of this game, and we are trying to exploit situations even in this unfavorable situation. And one situation that we can exploit is the Jagdpanzer, which is pushing all on his own while being one-shotable. So of course, with our mobility, we can try to flank him and take him out. And so now the question is, what can we do? 2-7, so the game is already lost, no question about it. But we can now once again use our mobility. First of all, take out the MX, nice, and then use our mobility in order to flank the adversary team. And of course, we do not want to go to where the object 279E is, so we do not want to put ourselves into a 1 versus 5 situation, but we want to flank where the remaining forces of our team are situated. So we do not want to do what the Leopard 1 is doing, but we want to be where we are at least temporarily in a favorable situation. So here you go, that's very nice. Taking out an artillery is always good. And so yeah, if you're on the losing side, you want to be where you have support. You basically want to be the last tank on the battlefield. That's what you want to do, and this is how you can stay alive as long as possible. And if you stay alive longer, then of course you have more chances of getting damage later on in the game, and that's exactly what you want to do in such a situation where the game is lost. And using your mobility to put yourself into a, let's say, temporarily favorable situation is what you can do if you are playing in a mobile tank which has no armor. Of course, you can, like in the KPZ-50T, put yourself in a situation where you can, let's say, exploit the landscape and play hull down and simply yeah, exploit the strength of your tank. But due to the fact that the Concept 5 does not have any armor, that's not what you can do, that's not an option, and you simply have to use your mobility. And all you can do in this tank is either create distance, which is unfortunately not possible on a map like Himmelsdorf, or you can put yourself to where you have at least a bit of support, so where our 2 heavy tanks are situated. And so yeah, that's what I want to do. So 1 shot onto the object 705 Alpha, and as we're not using premium ammunition, we bounce even on the lower hull and we get taken out. But all in all, in my opinion, for a game which has been lost so quickly, this is a decent result. And I would go so far to say that you will become an above average player, at least when it comes to statistic, if you manage to get 3k damage in a game which is lost, let's say in the first 5 minutes or so, in a concept 5, which is no armor on a map like Himmelsdorf. So all in all, what I wanted to showcase you is you should always try to maximize your result, even if you are in a situation where the game is lost. And this kind of, in my opinion, differentiates the, let's say, the average players from the above average players, because the above average player managed to get decent results even in such a situation. Alright guys, that was it for today with the video about how to make the most out of a game in which your team is losing. What do you think about this topic? Are you able to frequently maximize your damage even in a situation in which your team is losing? Do you think this is tank or map dependent? Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. And as always, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. This really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you find this video extremely helpful, then feel free to support me via Super Thanks. This way you can make a one-time donation. You just have to click this button underneath the video. If you adore this channel and you want to consistently support me, then consider subscribing to my channel or become a member, once again with the click of a button underneath the video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time in another World of Tanks video.